Okay. All right. Okay. No sound. We good now, I think. I think. Welcome to History in the AM. I'm Captain Kimmy Will. Most High in Christ. Bless. All right. Couple of little technical difficulties. I think we good now. I think we are good now. Again. So what we've been going over. Okay, you can hear me? All praises. All praises. All right. So let's get started. Hey, it's been a long weekend. Y'all pray for me. All right. So unless you've been under a rock, okay, or you like a lot of our people don't watch the news. I hear people say the news is depressing. Yeah, well, Christ said watch and pray. All right. So we need to know what's going on. All right. IUIC was, well, we all over the world, all right, first and foremost. We all over the world. So when I say what I'm about to say, I don't want to make it sound like, we all in one place, because we're not. We're all over the world, all right? The army of the Lord, the army of the living God, okay? So there were a few of us in Springfield, Illinois, supporting our sister Sonia Massey. Okay, before that we were in Valdosta, and when you look at all the atrocities that our people still go through, okay, and we're going to touch on it a little bit today, how this is still part of the curses that are upon the nation of Israel. Okay, these are the curses that are upon the nation of Israel. And family, look, we gotta tighten up. We gotta return to keeping the laws of the Most High God. Okay, He gave them only to us, and some of the things as I was going through this lesson today, I was looking and I was reading some of the books. I'm gonna bring out some books today. Okay, I am gonna bring out some books today, so we're gonna do a bit of reading. And when the scriptures say that judgment is like a ring, I mean, we are literally seeing the things that we have suffered prior, we're still suffering today. Okay, and that's why it's high time that we wake up out of sleep. You go to some of these smaller towns, they're still being fed the BS in the Christian church. I couldn't believe. Look, we there, and you got a Christian church, and I mean they having I was gonna say a party. That's what they having a barbecue and all that on the Sabbath, which our people continue to profane the Sabbath. It's 2024. Many of us don't realize that we don't know that we're the Israelites. The pastors are still profaning the Sabbath, have our people profaning the Sabbath. And, it's like, that's why there's no changes. There are no changes with our people because we don't fear the Lord. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump back into it. So last class, remember, I'm gonna read 2 Ezra 13:42 again. We were reading how Northern Kingdom, the leaders of Northern Kingdom, they took counsel that they would go into a land and keep the commandments they never kept in the land. Okay, and over again, we were warned by Moses, Aaron, by our leaders throughout our journeys in the wilderness. When we came up out of Egypt, you got to realize when you read about us in the wilderness, we were complaining immediately. Okay, y'all got to understand that we were complaining immediately after we came up out of the wilderness. And we continue to complain. Okay. So we were warned, we were admonished, but yet, what do? We continually, we wanted to go back to Egypt. We had no faith, okay? And we see that today, okay? We still see that same spirit in the earth today. All right, so let's jump into it, because there's a couple of things I want to hit before I get into a few scriptures I want to hit before I get into these books. First of all, let's go back to 2nd Ezra. I'm not going to read all of 13, 40 through 46, but 40 through 42. All right, 2nd Ezra 40 through 42. Do we have, are we ready on deck? We ready on deck, scribe? All right, 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king, who Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would lead the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. All right. And it just hit me. I didn't download that particular pic. Shoot. The fourth part of the earth. The fourth part of the earth. Okay. Hold on. Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 6 and verse 8. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto him over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth. And with the beast of the earth, which goes into zoonosis. Okay. Some of you might, a lot of the medicines, some of you may have remembered the story. Hey, give me a thumbs up if you remember this story. There was a brother that was given a pig's heart. He had a heart transplant. He was given a pig's heart. He didn't live long afterwards, but they put a pig's heart into him. All right, give me a thumbs up if you read that story. So anyway, that fourth part of the earth was over here because this was the place that had not been inhabited. All right, so let's go back. 2nd Ezra 13:41. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into. Yep, he said, yep, he did. Yeah, he is. Yep, y'all remember that. Okay. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. In their own land. All right. So now, I want to go to Deuteronomy chapter 6. Deuteronomy chapter 6. We're going to read 1 through 3, and then we're going to jump down. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 1. Now these are the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whither you go to possess it, that thou mightest fear the Lord thy God. Thank you. That thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son and thy son's sons, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. And that thy days may be prolonged. Okay? Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, because we want what the Lord tell us, to go forth and repopulate, right? We're supposed to make many babies, be a fruitful nation. Okay, that's what he had in store for us. Those were the blessings. But we know that the curses came upon us. Let me jump over to Deuteronomy 28 just for a second. I want to read. It says that thou mayest increase. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations upon the earth, or of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee, and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. I want to read verse 4. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Okay? The Lord was pronouncing these blessings upon us. Jump down to verse 11. And the Lord shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, many children. Okay? And in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers to give thee. Okay? So remember, the Lord wanted to do well by us. Okay? Again, last class we went over abundance of scriptures that he only knows us, he only loves us as a people upon this earth. All right, so let's go back. Deuteronomy 6 and 3. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as the Lord thy God of thy fathers has promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. So that's the land he wanted us to prosper in, okay? Not here in Babylon and scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. That ain't why we here. We here serving out a punishment, all right? This is not for us to be balling out of control. All right, let's jump down to verse 10. And it shall be, when the Lord thy God shall have brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities, which thou buildest not. Listen to what the Lord is saying. I'm giving you cities that you did not have to build. You are inheriting another man's labor. Okay? Verse 11. And houses full of all good things which thou fillest not, and wells digged which thou diggest not, vineyards and olive trees which thou plantest not. When thou shalt have eaten and be full, then beware lest thou forget the Lord, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. We're reading it again because a lot of people, when we read that in Exodus 20 and 3, they say, that's not what Egypt means. It's written over and over again. All right. So we're reading the same thing. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. Ye shall not go after other gods of the people which are round about you. We are still, look, this is warning before we went into the land the first time. Okay. We still doing that. That's why we're here serving out this punishment. We're supposed to be reformed here in Babylon. All right. You shall not go after other gods of the people which are round about you. For the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. Okay. And if y'all been paying attention, Bishop has been bringing out the uniting of the Abrahamic faiths. I think the uniting of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam into one world religion, right? Okay. So all of this is against who? It's against us. All right, the children of Israel. Let's jump down to verse 25. And it shall be our righteousness. We read this all the time. But a lot of times y'all don't go up and read the whole chapter. You don't, read and understand the precepts. You may just go and read those particular precepts. But listen, it says, and it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God as he hath commanded us. So it says it shall be our righteousness if we keep the commandments. Did that change? Because under Christianity, what are we taught? We don't have to keep the commandments, right? We don't have to keep the commandments anymore. Let's read 1 Corinthians. Let's go to the New Testament. Let's read 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 24. It says, awake to righteousness and sin not. Awake to righteousness and sin not. So righteousness is the opposite of sin, right? Which we know is what? The transgression of God's laws. We'll read in just a second. For some have not the knowledge of God. I speak this to your shame. So it says, awake to righteousness. Why? Because through captivity we have fallen asleep. Our pastors in the churches have not taught us who we are. Our pastors in the churches have not reformed us by giving us God's commandments. Okay? So we are still in a spiritually dead state as a nation of people. Now, a lot of our people are starting to wake up as they hear the word. All praises to the Father for that. But a lot of our people are still in a spiritually dead state. All right. That's why we go out to the highways and hedges and bring forth the glorious gospel to illuminate the people. All right. So now let's read that right quick in 1 John 3 and 4. 1 John. Let me get it. 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. I was reading, so let me see if I can find it right quick. I was going back over. Here we go. Watch this. Let's go to 1 Samuel 15. 1 Samuel 15:24. Here's another example. And Saul said unto Samuel, I have sinned, for I have transgressed the commandment of the Lord and thy words, because I feared the people and obeyed their voice. Okay, so what did he say? I have sinned, for I have transgressed the commandment of the Lord. Just an example you could put with 1 John chapter 3 and 4. Precept there. All right, so from there, let's jump over to Deuteronomy chapter 9. Deuteronomy chapter 9. And we're going to read 3 through 6. I didn't want to start at 1. All right, 3 through 6. Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 3. Understand therefore this day that the Lord thy God is he which goeth over before thee as a consuming fire. he shall destroy them, and he shall bring them down before thy face. So shalt thou drive them out, and destroy them quickly, as the Lord has said unto thee. Speak not in thine heart. Now, this is the part I want you to pay attention to. Listen to this. Speak not in thine heart, after that the Lord thy God hath cast them out from before thee, saying, for my righteousness the Lord hath bought me in to possess this land. Okay, he said, don't think it's because of our righteousness. All right. This right here we're reading shows you that there's a spirit in the land. Okay. It says, but for the wickedness of these nations, the Lord doth drive them out before thee. And we read that all throughout. We go to Leviticus 18. You know, the Lord says, don't do after the ways of Egypt from where you came, and don't do after the ways of the manners of the people of the land. All right. Verse 5. Not for thy righteousness or for the uprightness of thine heart doest thou go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of these nations the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee, that he may perform the word which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Understand, therefore, that the Lord thy God giveth thee not this good land to possess it for thy righteousness, for thou art a stiff-necked people. Okay? So he said he didn't give us that land because we were righteous. We are stiff-necked people. Okay? But for the wickedness of the people that possessed the land before us, he spewed them out. Okay? All right. So I want to read out of a couple of these books. I got Destruction of the Indies, which we're going to read some out of there, and a book called Ebony and Ivy. We'll read a little bit out of there, and if I have time, I'm going to go to Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. All right. So, let's wait a minute. Let me transition that back. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on a second. All right. There we go. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. I'm still trying to figure out this whole IT thing. Okay, so we're going to get into Destruction of the Indies. All right. A brief account of the destruction of the Indies by Bartolome de las Casas. All praises, all praises. Lord willing, we're gonna get back to the day where myself and all the IT guys can have our flexible schedules again, and we could be doing this after school. All right, let's bring this over. Okay. So I want to read about this, the cruelty. Again, we just came back from Springfield, and again, a lot of you know by now, because it's national, international news. the cruelty of Esau, how Esau murdered our sister, okay, shot her in cold blood, allegedly, all right, because until things are, you got to say that, because until things are finalized on paper, don't believe what your lying eyes show you, okay. But the whole world has seen the videos, okay, from the body cam. Well, we're going to go back and we're going to see this is nothing new. This is nothing new on the earth. All right. So, let's read that. Let's read. This is of the island Hispaniola. So what are we showing? Remember, in hold on. Okay. Remember in 2nd Ezra 13:42, they said we were going to go to another place. So we're showing you now, as I said in last class, on this side of the earth. All right. On the island of Hispaniola. This is page number 8. It says, in the isle. Hope y'all can read that, but just follow along. In this isle, which, as we have said, the Spaniards first attempted the bloody slaughter and destruction of men first began, for they violently forced away women and children to make them slaves, and ill-treated them, consuming and wasting their food, which they had purchased with great sweat, toil, and yet remained dissatisfied too, which every one according to his strength and ability, and that was very inconsiderable, for they had provided no other food than what was absolutely necessary to support nature without superfluity, freely bestowed on them. And one individual Spaniard consumed more victuals in one day than would serve to maintain 3 families a month. I want y'all to meditate on that. All right, hold on a second. Okay. What's going on here? All right, here we go. So it says that one Spaniard consumed more than 3 families a month. One consumed more. Because what? These are greedy and gluttonous people. And what is one of the things that we've learned over here in Babylon, in the land of our captivity? We have learned that same greedy and gluttonous behavior. All right. Let me go to the book of Sirach. Let me go to the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 38. Look at some of the holidays. I'm going to go to the main one. I'm going straight to the main one. Thanksgiving, or Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is a holiday that they celebrate for the destruction of our people. Okay? The northern kingdom that was already here. The destruction of our people. Watch this. Sirach chapter 38 and verse 31. I'm sorry. Jumping around. Sirach chapter 31. And verse 16, it says, eat as becometh a man those things which are set before thee, and devour not, lest thou be hated. Leave off first for manner's sake, and be not unsatiable, lest thou offend. When thou sittest among many, reach not thine hand out first of all. A very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured. He fetches not his wind up short upon his bed, so he ain't got gas. Okay? Sound sleep cometh of moderate eating. He riseth early, and his wits are with him. But the pain of watching and choler and pangs of the belly are with an unsatiable man. A man that has what? He don't have no control over his appetite. Okay, he don't have no control over his spirit. That's what it's going into. Let me jump over to Obadiah. Obadiah. Still touching on the spirit of this man. The cruel enemy. Our cruel enemy. Okay, just got to make it plain. Got to make it plain. Okay, here we go. Obadiah verse. Let me read one, then I'll jump down. The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord. An ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, let us rise up against her in battle. All right, verse 5. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? So if these came to thee, would they steal just until they had enough? That's not Esau. Esau will take everything. That's why it says in Micah, matter of fact, let me just get it, and then we're going to go back to the book. Let's get that in Micah. Micah 2 and 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence. That's what we're reading right here in Destruction of the Indies. They take them by violence, and houses, and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Okay? They take it all. All right, so let me go back. All right, and let's get that. Okay, wait a minute. There we go. All right. Let's go back. Now, being oppressed by such evil usage and afflicted with such great torments and violent entertainment, they began to understand that such men as those had not their mission from heaven. And therefore, some of them concealed their provisions, and others to hide their wives and children in lurking holes. But some, to avoid the obdurate and dreadful temper of such a nation, sought their refuge on the craggy tops of mountains. For the Spaniards did not only entertain them with cuffs, blows, and wicked cudgeling, but laid violent hands on the governors of the cities. And this arrived at length to the height of temerity and impudence. Temerity meaning boldness or audacity. That a certain captain was so audacious as abuse the consort of the most puissant king, that means powerful king, of the whole isle. From which time they began to consider by what ways and means they might expel the Spaniards out of their country, and immediately took up arms. But, good God, what arms do ye imagine? Namely such, both offensive and defensive, as resemble reeds, with boys sport with one another, more than manly arms and weapons. So what was going on? When we began to get, let me do this again. Bear with me, y'all. This is a little frustrating here. Okay. So when they came upon us and they started defeating us so cruelly, we were searching for a way to get rid of them. All right. But remember, we're going to read. The Lord sent them against us. Remember, let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48. Because this didn't just happen one time. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he hath destroyed thee. Now, I'm going to continue to read on, and we're going to show, I'm going to read the scripture first. I'm going to jump down to verse 49. And the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. That's why we went to Obadiah, because he's going to take everything. Okay? He would take everything. All right. So let's go back. And all right. Actually, let me get the next slide. Let me get the next slide. All right, so it says, which the Spaniards no sooner perceived, but they mounted on generous steeds, well weaponed with lances and swords, began to exercise their bloody butcheries and stratagems, and overrunning their cities and towns, spared no age or sex, nay, not so much as women with child, but ripping up their bellies, tore them alive in pieces. It said, but ripping up their bellies, tore them alive in pieces. You got to imagine, and this is why I said, you know what? We read this before. Okay? We read this before. All right? Watch this. Let's go to 2 Kings. I'm going to read it again. It said, spared no age or sex, nay, not so much as women with child, but ripping up their bellies, tore them alive in pieces. 2 Kings. Okay, we read this a couple of classes ago. 2 Kings 8. I'm going to start at verse 7. And Elisha, okay, the prophet Elisha, came to Damascus, and Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, was sick. And it was told him, saying, the man of God is come hither. And the king said unto Hazael, take a present in thine hand, and go meet the man of God, and inquire of the Lord by him, saying, shall I recover of this disease? So Hazael went to meet him, and took a present with him, even of every good thing of Damascus, 40 camels burdened, and came and stood before him, and said, thy son Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, hath sent me to thee, saying, shall I recover of this disease? And Elisha said unto him, go, say unto him, thou mayest certainly recover. Howbeit the Lord hath showed me that he shall surely die. And he settled his countenance steadfastly until he was ashamed. And the man of God wept. Watch this. Verse 12. And Hazael said, Why weepeth my Lord? And he answered, Because I know the evil that thou wilt do to the children of Israel. Their strongholds wilt thou set on fire, and their young men wilt thou slay with the sword, and wilt dash their children and rip up their women with child. We reading the same thing. We are reading the same thing that happened to us before. Let me get 2 Ezra chapter 5 and verse 42. All right, 2 Ezra chapter 5 and verse 42. And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring. Like as there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first. All right, so God's judgment is like a ring. Okay. Now, let me read on right quick. Back to page 9. It says, They laid wagers among themselves who should with the sword at one blow cut or divide a man in two, or which of them should decollate or behead a man with the greatest dexterity. Nay, further, which should sheath his sword in the bowels of a man with the quickest dispatch and expedition. So basically, they would take bets on who could slaughter us, in the best or quickest manner. Okay? Our lives meant nothing to them then, just like our lives mean nothing to them now. Okay? You cannot negotiate with this man. You can't marry him and he's going to do you better. All right? You can't love him enough. We've had our entertainers say things like this. I think it was Common said, well, we gotta love them more, something like that. This was a few years ago. You've got many of our people that are married, intermarried with the heathen. Okay, we're showing you from the Syrians to Edom, they've all dealt with us cruelly. Okay, and there's gonna be a just recompense for that. Let me read on. They snatched the young babies from their mother's breasts, and they dashed out the brains of those innocents against the rocks. Others they cast into rivers, scoffing and jeering them, and called upon their bodies when falling with derision, the true testimony of their cruelty to them, and inhumanely exposing others to their merciless swords, together with the mothers that gave them life. Okay, where else can we read about that? 2 Ezra chapter 7, about the woman that lost her 7 sons in one day. This history has been going on and on and on. But the thing is that it's coming to an end. This is the last captivity. And all these cruelties that we're reading about, it's coming to an end. And there will be just reward. But let me show you something. Let me get Psalms chapter 71. Psalms chapter 71 and verse 4. I'm going to read 1 through 4. I'm going to read 1 through 5. 4 is the point. Psalms chapter 71 verse 1. In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me never be put to confusion. Deliver me in thy righteousness and cause me to escape. Incline thine ear unto me and save me. That's why, because salvation is for what? Us, because we are the ones that are being cruelly dealt with by our oppressors. Okay, it's the same thing we read in Luke chapter 1. Verse 3. Be thou my strong habitation, whereunto I may continually resort. Thou hast given commandment to save me. For thou art my rock and my fortress. Deliver me, O my God, out of the hand of the wicked, out of the hand of the unrighteous and cruel man. Do you hear what the Lord is calling the wicked? The unrighteous and cruel man. Let's get the precept for the wicked. Let's get the precept for the wicked. Malachi. For some of you that might be new, that don't, you say, oh, the wicked, well, anybody can be wicked. Yeah, but the Lord is talking about the wicked. All right, Malachi. Chapter 1 and verse 1. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Saith the Lord, yet I loved Jacob. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished. We will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I shall throw down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people whom the Lord hath indignation forever. And the people whom the Lord hath indignation forever. Job 9:24. Job 9 and verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. Who are the judges? The Israelites. Okay. If not, where and who is he? If not, where and who is the man? If it's not him, who is it? All right. Let's go back and read Psalm 71 and 4 again. Deliver me, O my God, out of the hand of the wicked, out of the hand of the unrighteous and cruel man. For thou art my hope, O Lord God. Thou art my trust from my youth. Now, why are these things come upon us, though? All right, because we've read numerous times, whether it's in Hosea, Amos, Micah, Isaiah, how the Lord kept saying he was going to pronounce judgment, right? He's going to pronounce judgment on the nation for how we were dealing with our own people. Let me get Ezekiel 18. Ezekiel 18 and 18. As for his father, because he cruelly oppressed and spoiled his brother by violence, and did that which is not good among his people, lo, even he shall die in his iniquity. Now we die for our own sins, but the way that we treated each other is why we have gone into captivity. Okay? That's why it says in 1 Kings 8, let me get it, 1 Kings 8 and 47, that in the land of our enemies, we must bethink ourselves. Okay? 1 Kings 8:47. Well, let me read 46 and 47. 46, if they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, thou be angry with them and deliver them to the enemy, so that the enemy carry them away captives unto the land of the enemy, far or near. Yet if they shall bethink themselves in the land, whether they be carried captives, and repent and make supplication unto thee in the land of them that carried them captive, saying, we have sinned and we have done perversely and we have committed wickedness. And from there we have to return, meaning repent and come back and seek the Lord. All right, so from there, let me get the next one. Let me get the next book. All right, so watch this. All right, this is the next book. I want to show you something. This book is called Ebony and Ivy by Craig Wilder. All right, this is a brother. Wrote this book a little while ago. All right. Let me for time's sake, let me just get to the point. Because I'm gonna have to wrap this up here shortly. Okay. Watch this. Watch this. Ebony and Ivy. All right. So, why does it say Ebony and Ivy? You read about a lot of, you think about the Ivy League schools. Well, the Ivy League schools were created off of the backs of slaves. All right. Watch this. I'm going to read at the bottom. This is page 17. So it says, so this is about John Belcher. John Belcher presented unto a woman named Sophia in England, Indian slave. And Lord willing, I'll go back over this book the next time I teach, but I just want to hit this point. It says, like his present to Sophia, Jonathan Belcher's generosity toward Harvard and the College of New Jersey, that College of New Jersey today is called Rutgers University, all right, was rooted in the oppression of other people. The first 5 colleges in the British American colonies, Harvard, established 1636, William and Mary, 1693, Yale, 1701, Codrington, 1745 in Barbados, and New Jersey, 1746, were instruments of Christian expansionism, weapons for the conquest of indigenous people, that's Northern Kingdom, and major beneficiaries of the African slave trade and slavery. Okay? So that's how these universities were built. Okay? These universities that have like millions of dollars in endowments, billions maybe, were built off of the backs of slavery. All right. Let me read on. Escalares y conquistadores. All right, so it says diverse personnel patrolled Europe's American possessions and in range of structures marked and secured the edges of its empire. Let me go to the next page. Let me get the next page. Bear with me just a second. All right. Okay. Missionaries, explorers, merchants. This is page 18. Missionaries, explorers, merchants, traders, and soldiers extended the borders of the colonial world, and churches, forts, storehouses, docks, and ships announced the permanence of the European invasion. Scholars and schools were less obvious, but no less significant presence. Spain's conquest in the Americas were followed by intensive periods of institution building. Universities catalyzed cultural shifts in the capitals and hinterlands of the defeated Taino, Aztec, Mayan, and Inca empires. I'm going to read that again. Universities catalyzed cultural shifts in the capitals and hinterlands of the defeated Taino, Carib, Aztec, and Incan empires. Dominican priests organized the Universidad de Santo Tomas de Aquino, Universidad Autónoma de Santo Domingo, the first college in the Americas. They began a seminary shortly after the Spanish invasion, and a 1538 papal decree raised that academy to a university. As early as the 1530s, Dominicans, Franciscans, and Augustinians had seminaries in Mexico, where the Dominicans laid the foundation of the Pontificia Universidad. Jesuits in Lima, Peru, founded the Universidad de San Marcos, 1551, to instruct Indios and record and codify Quechua, the Quechua language. All right, hey. Oh, man. That's some good stuff. That's some good stuff. And Lord willing, we're going to get back to it. But my time is up for the morning. All right, my time is up for the morning, y'all. I pray. Okay, there we go. I pray y'all got something out of it. I'm going back. Lord, spare my life. The next class. There's a lot. There's a lot in these books. I want to go back and I want to align it with not just the curses, but show you things that we were doing to each other in the land, and now we read those same things coming back upon us. All right. So, hey, again, I gotta go. Duty calls. Pray y'all got something out of the class. Continue to pray for our leadership. Continue to pray for the nation of Israel. All right. You that are being helpful and sending alms, make sure you continue to send alms. Join the Boosters Club. There's much work to be done. Okay, Israel, there's much work to be done. And you see the work we're doing. Okay? Let me end it with this. Let me get the book of Isaiah. Chapter 30 and verse 20. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner any more, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers, and thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. When ye turn to the right, and when ye turn to the left. Okay? So this gospel is going out to the four corners of the earth. All right? So with that, I'm going to say shalom, Israel. Most High in Christ bless.